Most people have never heard his name. Yet, on August 27, 1939, a young German physicist quietly made history. Years before anyone else, Hans von Ohain watched as his creation, the Heinkel He 178, became the very first aircraft to fly purely on jet power. This is the story of the quiet genius who beat the world to the jet age, and why his incredible triumph was almost forgotten. Our story begins not in a government lab, but in a humble garage. It's the mid-1930s, and a brilliant, 26-year-old physicist, Hans von Ohain, is obsessed with a radical idea, a new way to fly, without propellers. He dreams of an engine that sucks in air, compresses it, ignites it with fuel, and blasts it out the back, creating immense thrust. The concept is called turbojet propulsion. While the idea had been theorized, most of the world's top engineers and governments considered it impractical, a fantasy. But von Ohain wasn't just a dreamer, he was a doer. With his own hands and a small amount of money, he started building a prototype. He knew he couldn't do it alone forever. In 1936, he wrote a letter to Ernst Heinkel, one of Germany's most daring and innovative aircraft manufacturers. Heinkel was a maverick, a man who loved speed and wasn't afraid to bet on unconventional ideas. He saw the spark of genius in von Ohain's proposal. Instead of dismissing him, Heinkel invited the young physicist to demonstrate his model. The initial test was far from perfect. It spewed fuel and flames everywhere, but Heinkel saw past the smoke. He saw the potential. He hired von Ohain on the spot, gave him a small team and a secluded workshop, and told him, "Build it." This wasn't a state-sponsored high-priority military project. It was a private venture, funded entirely by Heinkel's own money. It was a gamble. While the rest of the world was still perfecting piston engine propeller planes, von Ohain and his tiny team worked in secret, fueled by passion and their boss's belief. They faced countless setbacks, parts failed, calculations were redrawn, and the challenges seemed endless. But von Ohain's gentle, persistent nature kept them going. He wasn't a loud commander. He was a quiet leader who inspired his team through his own relentless dedication. By 1939, they had a working engine, the Hayes III. It was compact, powerful, and ready for a real test. It was installed into a specially designed small aircraft, the Heinkel He 178. The moment of truth arrived on August 27, 1939, just days before the world would plunge into war. At the Marianne airfield, test pilot Erich Warsitz climbed into the cockpit. The engine roared to life, with a sound no one there had ever heard before, a high-pitched, continuous scream. The plane rolled down the runway, lifted into the air, and soared into the sky. It worked. The first jet flight in human history was a success. The He 178 reached a staggering speed of nearly 800 kilometers per hour, far faster than most propeller planes of the era. They had done the impossible. So, if von Ohain flew a jet in 1939, why does everyone think of Britain's Frank Whittle, or America's later efforts, as the start of the jet age? Why did Britain and the United States get all the credit? The answer is a mix of secrecy, wartime politics, and von Ohain's own humble personality. The first flight was kept under wraps. High-ranking Nazi officials were eventually shown the plane, but they were unimpressed. They were focused on proven technologies for the imminent war and saw little immediate use for this experimental curiosity. Heinkel's project remained a low priority, private venture. Meanwhile, across the English Channel, another brilliant engineer, Frank Whittle, was working on his own jet engine. He had patented his design even earlier than von Ohain, but he struggled immensely to get funding and support. The British government was skeptical. It wasn't until 1941, nearly 2 full years after von Ohain's flight, that Whittle's Gloucester E-2839s finally took to the skies, because Britain was a key Allied power and openly promoted its achievement as a war-winning technology. Their story captured the world's attention. The United States then entered the jet race, building on British designs. By the end of the war, Allied jets were in production, and their story became the official narrative. Hans von Ohain's groundbreaking flight was overshadowed by war and secrecy. He never sought fame or recognition. He was a pure scientist, a gentle soul driven by the simple desire to help humans fly faster and higher. After the war, as part of Operation Paperclip, he was brought to the United States. He continued his work, not as a celebrated pioneer, but as a valued engineer, contributing his vast knowledge to American jet engine development for decades. He and Frank Whittle eventually met, and far from being rivals, they became good friends, sharing a mutual respect for the incredible parallel journey they had both undertaken. Von Ohain's story hits me deeply. It's the story of one soft-spoken man, working in silence, who gave us the entire jet age. It's a powerful reminder that some of the greatest changes in history do once start with a loud announcement, but with a quiet dream and the persistence to see it through. It's about believing in something when no one else does. This story resonates with me because I am trying to build something that feels just as unlikely right now. I'm starting a project called Johaina. In Arabic it means little jewel. It's not a big company. It's a tiny, honest family of kind and ambitious people who choose each other. We grow together by gently placing 5% of our monthly earnings into a shared fund. This fund isn't for profit. It's there to help every member of our chosen family rise faster and safer, whether it's for education, a new project, or just a helping hand during a tough time. Right now, Johaina is just me. I'm carrying this quiet dream, a lot like Hans von Ohain worked alone in his workshop while the world looked the other way. He just needed one person, Ernst Heinkel, to believe in him. And I believe there are others out there who share this vision of a community built on mutual support and gentle strength. If his story of quiet persistence, of gentle brilliance, and of believing in a dream before anyone else did, touched your heart, then maybe you're the next person meant to join this little beginning. It doesn't matter what your profession is. What matters is your character. I'm looking for kind, ambitious people who believe that we are stronger together. If this feels right, send your CV, or just a few honest lines about who you are, to startnow19951995@gmail.com. I read and answer every single message myself. This isn't a typical job application. It's a conversation. If we both feel that same gentle yes, that feeling of shared values, we'll grow this family one beautiful soul at a time. Some of the greatest things in history started with one quiet person who simply refused to give up. The jet age began that way, in a hidden workshop, powered by a silent dream. Maybe our next chapter starts that way too. If you felt a connection to this story, drop Johaina in the comments. Thank you for listening to this hidden legend. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and turn on the bell for more stories of the forgotten pioneers who changed our world.